The ground is on fire, not just here and there, everywhere. From the left edge of the canvas to the right, the horizon burns. Ships sink in the distance. Leafless trees split a sky the color of rust. And across every inch of this painting, moving, marching, swarming, are skeletons. Not one, not 10, hundreds. They carry coffin lids like shields. They drag humans into wooden boxes. They play instruments while the living collapse around them. And then you notice something in the bottom right corner. A man and a woman sitting at a small table playing cards, completely unaware. This painting came out of one of the most terrifying decades in Northern Europe's history. Bruegel finished it around 1562. Think about what that means. The Black Death had already killed a third of Europe's population. Not once, but in wave after wave across 2 centuries, the Spanish Inquisition was burning people alive in the Low Countries. Religious wars were tearing entire cities apart. Protestants and Catholics were not debating theology, they were executing each other. The people who looked at this painting when it was new, they recognized that sky. They had seen fields that looked like that. They had buried neighbors, children, priests. Death was not a metaphor. It was the most reliable thing in their world. What strikes me most is this. Bruegel did not paint death as a punishment. He painted it as a system, organized, efficient, unstoppable. Pieter Bruegel the Elder never painted himself. We have no confirmed portrait of him. Almost nothing personal survived. What we do know is this: he spent years traveling through Italy in the 1550s, studying the great masters, but he came back to the Netherlands and painted peasants, disasters, crowds. Where other artists painted the glory of the human figure, Bruegel painted what happened to human figures when the world turned against them. There is one strange detail his contemporary, the art biographer Karel van Mander, recorded. Bruegel used to walk through village markets in disguise, pretending to be a peasant, just to watch people, just to see how they actually moved and suffered and laughed. A man who hid himself to study others, painted a world where hiding is impossible. Look at the left side of the painting first. A king, you can tell by the crown, sits slumped on the ground. A skeleton reaches into a barrel beside him, pulling out what little gold remains. Next to him, another skeleton holds an hourglass over his head. The message could not be clearer. Time is up. Wealth means nothing. Move right. A cardinal, also on the ground, also being helped along toward death by skeleton hands. The church offers no protection here. Now look at the center. An army of skeletons advances behind that enormous wall of coffin lids. A literal death machine moving across the canvas like a military formation. They are not wild, they are organized. That is the detail that disturbs me most. This is not chaos, this is logistics. Further right, a knight in armor fights back with a sword. He is the only human putting up real resistance, and he is completely alone, surrounded, and almost certainly losing. But now look at the very bottom. Among the fallen bodies and scattered weapons, there is a table, set with food and a backgammon board, and 2 lovers, a man playing a lute, a woman leaning close, so absorbed in each other that they have not yet looked up. Here is where it gets strange. Bruegel gave them the most detail of anyone in the painting. Why? Most people who study this painting focus on the skeletons, the spectacle, the horror. But the real twist in the triumph of death is not what it shows. It is what it says about who it was painted for. This was not a church commission. Scholars believe it hung in a private home, possibly the home of someone enormously wealthy. Now think about that. A rich man paid for a painting that argues visually, systematically, with hundreds of figures, that his wealth will not save him. His titles will not save him. His soldiers will not save him. The painting does not just depict death, it makes an argument, and it makes it directly to the man who paid for it. But here is where it gets stranger still. X-ray analysis and close study of the painting's layers revealed that Bruegel kept adjusting the crowd scenes. He added figures, he changed positions. The skeleton army grew denser with each revision. He was not just illustrating a concept, he was building a case. And there is one detail almost no one notices on first viewing. Tucked into the lower left, among the dead, there is a man face down, with a small cross still clutched in his hand. Faith also on the ground, also defeated. Perhaps that was the most dangerous detail in the entire painting. In 1562, in the Spanish Netherlands, with the Inquisition watching, painting the cross among the fallen was not a neutral act. We may never know if Bruegel meant it as blasphemy or sorrow, but he left it there. I need to stop here for just a moment, because what we are about to get into changes how you see this entire painting. Now look at the painting again, but this time look at it knowing what Bruegel knew. He lived in a country under foreign occupation. The Spanish controlled the Netherlands. The Duke of Alba, one of the most brutal military governors in European history, would arrive just 5 years after this painting. He would execute thousands. He would be called the Iron Duke. Bruegel died in 1569, the year Alba's reign of terror was at its height. So go back to that skeleton army with their wall of coffin lids. Look at the formation. That is not medieval folklore about death. That is an army, a real, recognizable, terrifying army, advancing on civilians who have nowhere to run. The king with his empty gold barrel. Bruegel's patrons would have recognized the Spanish crown draining the Netherlands of wealth. The cardinal on the ground. The church actively supporting the occupiers. And those two lovers at the table, absorbed in their music, not yet looking up. That is all of us. Every person who ever thought, not yet, not me, we still have time. Bruegel painted the future, and he was right. What does a painting like this actually say to us now? 500 years later, we do not live under military occupation. Most of us are not watching plague spread through our neighborhoods. And yet, something in this painting still hits. I think it is because Bruegel understood something that we still struggle to accept. That death does not care about rank, it does not care about wealth, faith, love, or art. The king falls first, actually. That is easy to miss. He falls before the peasant, and perhaps that is what we find so disturbing about this painting. Not the skeletons, not the fire, it is the equality of it, the complete merciless equality. Every system we build to protect ourselves, money, religion, romance, status, Bruegel put each one in the painting and then put a skeleton next to it. The lovers with their loot are the last image we see, and the most human one. Even facing everything, we still reach for beauty. We still reach for each other. Maybe that is not a weakness. Maybe that is the only response that ever made sense. So here is what I want to ask you. Bruegel hid that cross, the symbol of faith, among the defeated dead. Was that an act of despair? Or was it the most honest thing a painter ever put on canvas? Leave your answer below. I genuinely want to know what you think. If this video made you see something you had not seen before, the next one will do the same. I will see you there.